Right, so welcome to Farming Simulator 2025, and in this tutorial I'll try to explain everything basically, well maybe not step by step, but I'll try to give you as much details, as much information for you to get started and understand, and maybe if you're stuck on something, you should understand everything after this video. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave timestamps, so if you need basically help with a specific part, you can just skip to that part and I'll try to explain it to the best of my ability. So before you actually start playing the game, one thing I recommend coming to the options. Now here I recommend checking all of 4 of these options because you should just basically adapt them to yourself. I recommend turning the sound down because the game is very loud, and if you need to change your basically graphics, just come to this section, this little monitor, and then change. I can play ultra because my PC is high end and it manages, so I'm going to play on ultra, right? But obviously this will be different for you. Right, just before I actually show you how to play the game, I just want to show you the downloadable content, which is mods section. Now here you have plenty of mods. You have basically it's sorted by categories. At the top you can change it to best, most downloaded, latest, and recommended. So now I will show you how to actually launch maps because you don't launch maps the same as mods, right? So for example, if you come to European maps, just download any map, right, as a test. For example, Lipinki, right? So let's say you download this map, you can actually update it as well. So if you come to this little hard drive, and any mod should be here, because if there's no mod that you have installed, the mod is not working. So as you can see, I have a bunch of mods, and here's my map. If you actually come here to this little, I don't know, whatever this is called, refresh. If you come to this updates, basically section, you can update all of your mods. I recommend updating them. However, if you update your mod and you have modified the configuration file, that basically the change that you have made to the configuration will not be there. Well, every update you do, it will basically get rid of it, right? Now to launch your maps, if you come to career and you come to the empty slot, and you actually, as you can see, I have 11 maps. If you change to the right arrow to, so if you actually change the arrow to your map, Lipinki, as you can see, then you can change to your mod, right? And then you can play on this map. Right, so from here, what we can do is we can come to career. Now here will be all your save games. You most likely don't have any, that's fine, right? If you come to basically a new game mode or empty slot, and from here, what you can do is you can choose your map. Now by base, if you didn't install any mods, you should have three maps. So the first one is Riverbrand Springs, which is the American. The Hutan Puntai, which is an Asian, I think is Japanese. And the third one is Sri Lanka, which is Eastern European and exactly in Poland, right? So what we can do is we can choose our preset. Now the preset is basically how hard the game will be. For a new player, I just recommend taking New Farmer so you understand this game. Start money, I would say 250 is okay for you. Start loan, don't take any loans. You don't want any loans as a new player. Economic difficulty, leave it to easy. Now start farm, yes, and guided intro tour, click no unless you really want like the extra tips and stuff. It's up to you. I'm gonna click it no because it's gonna be annoying for the video. I'm gonna choose the American one, and I'm just gonna click continue. Now important here is, as you can see, I've basically selected my mods, and as you can see, I have 77 out of 82. Now this is very important. Every time you install a new mod, you need to basically select the new mod. What I like to do is I like to select them all and select them on again. What does this do? As you can see, it changed to 82 out of 82, which means I have all the mods enabled, are basically ready to play on this map. Now, once you actually load into the game, just press enter, and from here you can make your character. I'm not going to change it. You can basically discover this for yourself. I'm not going to show you because it's pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip this, and if you press escape or come here to the right corner, it says confirm. Might be laggy a little bit for our first. You might get like a little bit FPS drop, but that's fine. In a second, it should calm down and you should be ready to play. So once you spawn, basically the configuration or the sort of controls are as basically just in any normal game. So A, W, S, D, you walk left, back, and forwards. And in the left corner, you can see some of the, like it says, switch hand tool, toggle hand tool. These are the options, and they change dynamically as you basically go to the vehicles and you enter vehicles and stuff like that. As you can see, it says or sleep, right? And basically that's sort of the basic controls. Now in the right corner, you have the weather. So currently it's sunny. You have the current month. You have the current time, and also under it you can see it says my real time, but that's a mod. You have to install this because it doesn't tell you by default. Also you can see it says like 2 arrows, which means it's basically how fast the time is going, and it says 5. If you press 7 and 8, you can change this, right? So as you can see, the highest is 360, and you can as low as basically 0.5, right? So that's basically slower than it will basically 1 minute, it will take 120 seconds because it's half, right? And it says how much money you have, right? So this is the most important, how much money we have. Overall, as you can see, the game looks beautiful, the shadows, and overall it looks beautiful. However, this map is a little bit laggy, as I'm just seeing they haven't fixed this. This map is really unoptimized. As you can see, it's a little bit laggy. So yeah, but overall it looks pretty beautiful. Right, the next thing I'll show you is if you press escape, as you can see, you get a map. So if you basically use your mouse, so if you press left click, you can move around. If you scroll basically to or back, it basically zooms in and zooms out, right? Now, what you get is you get a lot of things, right? So I'll try to break down as much as possible. So this is obviously the whole map, right? As you can see, there is a border. Now, how do you actually see the border? So the border is not really visible, but if you look like here, like this is the field. The border is around here, right? So basically the map finishes there. If you actually go to the border, there should be a sign, like a no entry sign, but I'll show you maybe that later on. So if you actually take a look with the backgrounds, this one has a black background and this one has a green one. The difference between them is this: I own this one, right? So you can actually sell this one, and this one is not owned by you and you can buy it. Also, if you click on the field, it actually tells you what the size is. It's in acres. So as you can see, obviously the bigger the acre, the more valuable and the more you have to pay for it, and also the more crops you're gonna get from it, right? Also on the left corner, as you can see, they're all different colors. Like this one's green, this one's like green light, this one's like sort of brownish orangish, and this one's white, right? So all these colors, what do they mean? What do the actually colors mean? The colors actually mean what is the current field seeded with, or what is the current crop basically that is seeded on that field. So for example, if you take for example field number 3, as you can see, it has wheat. Now, how do I know? Because of the color, right? I can obviously remember because I play it so much. Basically, if you actually click on it, what I like to do is if I'm looking for a specific crop, if I actually enable this filter or disable it, as you can see, I'm clicking it, and as you can see, the fields change the color to basically, it doesn't actually show you anymore. It's brown, right? So what does this mean? That obviously, if it's flashing, that means the current crop is basically seeded on that field. I'm trying not to say installed for some reason. So for example, you can also, there's another way. If you actually teleport to this field, right? So if you actually click visit, right? So if you actually click on the field and click visit, just to make sure that you guys know how to do this. In the right corner, it says wheat, right? It actually tells you it's owned by you, farmland free, growth, ready to harvest, and yield bonus. Yield bonus, I'll talk about that later on, and fertilized, I'll talk about that later on because they're both basically the same things. Now, once you zoom out, for example, you teleport to field number 76, which is very, very far. Now, you don't have to walk back. You can teleport back just the same way you've done it, right? So you can actually teleport back to your field, or you can actually teleport back to vehicles. Now, there is a quick shortcut to teleport the vehicles. If you press tab, it will teleport or basically shuffle around the vehicles. The order is, I actually don't know what the order is. They're not in specific order. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a little break, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to harvest something. So I'm going to jump on this harvester, and the engine should start by default. We can actually change this later on, and I'll show you that in a while, right? So just if you basically, it's the same controls for walking and driving, AWSD, right? So if you actually pull your harvester out, and we just press Q. Now what Q does, it disconnects the trailer. And as you can see at the bottom, it actually shows you Massey Ferguson, and it shows you what you're attaching or what you're doing attached to, and we don't attach it because we need this. What we need to do is we need to take this header, because this is what basically gives ability to the harvester to harvest this crop. Now what we need to do is also need to press X, which unfolds the harvester. You need to do this. If you don't do it, the game should tell you, right? Okay, so now we're here. Now you should align yourself equally with the field, right? Like this. And if you press V for I don't know what, Farrago, something like that, Verizon Media, for example, right? So if you press V, and if you press B for Bravo, it basically will start harvesting. So now if I drive into this crop, as you can see, we're harvesting. In the right corner, you get basically vehicle statistics. So you get your speed, how vehicle serviced, the working hours, and your storage. So if I keep driving, the storage is going to increase, which means we're harvesting. And if you actually look at the top and you zoom in, you can see that the tank is slowly starting to fill up. Okay, so now obviously you can harvest this field by yourself if you want to, but it might take a while, and I don't think it's efficient. I might actually, you know what, I'll actually show you guys how to buy stuff. If you press P, FIPOR, I don't know, something. If you come down. So obviously these are all the vehicles that you can buy, right? I don't recommend just buying random stuff because you're gonna waste money. One important tab is the little discount or this little percentage button. If you come here, what you get is you get all stuff that's discounted, right? So as you can see, there's some harvester for potatoes. We don't really want this. There is some baler. And actually, if you look at the bottom, it gives you statistics. So it tells you how much horsepower it needs. It tells you what the size of the bale it'll do. It tells you the working hours. It tells you the maximum speed. And it tells you if you own this. And also at the bottom, it tells you if you what the actual purpose of this machine is. So if you come to the, for example, potato harvester, as you can see, this harvester digs the potatoes out of the ground, right? So this gives you an idea. If you don't know what a specific tool does, it tells you right away. Right, so if you come actually to the vehicles, and I'm going to buy a harvester, so I'm going to do this, I'm going to choose a harvester. I'm going to actually rent one out, so I'm going to rent one. Let's rent this one out, Lexian. Now from here, what you can do is you can change stuff. The wheel brands, I'm not exactly sure. I think they do change the gameplay a little bit, so if you want to, you can change them. And what I'm going to do at the bottom, it says buy and lease. Because I don't have 400k and I don't want to spend 400k, what we can do is we can lease. Now here, as you can see, it tells you base cost, so you need to pay this. So we're actually paying 20,000. Now, if you skip to the next day, the cost, well, you're going to get charged another day. And I think you're going to get charged either 4,000 or you're going to get charged 20,000. I'm not exactly sure because I don't really look at the cost. I just look what I need, right? So I'm going to rent this out. And as soon as I rent this out, obviously, I want a harvester. So I'm going to choose something. Let's this one, right? As you can see, this one has 11 meters. So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to rent this out. Okay. So I'm going to press tab and this should teleport me to the new harvester. And as you can see, I am in the new harvester. Now the thing is, what we can do is we can obviously sell the old one. So if you come to the basically store again, if you come to this little hamburger and if you come to vehicles, these are all the vehicles that you own. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sell the whole harvester. So let me just get rid of this because this is awful. Right, and obviously from here you can obviously you can see how old something is. Right, one important thing about the condition is that you need to maintain your vehicles. So what does this mean? The condition should be I would say, to be safe, should be kept minimum minimum at 60%. If it falls below 60%, at 50%, the price of the repairs is going to jump right up, right? So make sure that you obviously, to be safe, repair them at 60%. Because if, as I said, if it falls below 50%, the price of the repairs is going to increase very badly. And at 0%, the machine is unusable and you're going to have to tow it and then you're going to have to fix it, right? This is a new feature in Farming Simulator 2025. Now, there's a couple things I want to show you. So if you hold H, you're going to get this menu. And if you look here, it says AI worker, which basically means that whatever you want done, it will get a worker to do it for you, or the NPC, well, basically AI will do it for you. Steering assist is where you do it yourself, but basically it just shows you how to drive and what to do, right? So I'm going to choose AI worker. Working with it, it should be set to basically whatever your harvester basically header is, right? So you shouldn't have to change this. Number of headlands, I don't really change this, I just leave it as it is because technically I don't really need to change it because it works as it is. I don't like change. If something works, I don't like changing it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just press H, and the AI, what it's going to do is just going to figure it by itself how to actually harvest this field in the most efficient way. Sometimes you might have to fix it because sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, it does stupid things, right? It's rare that it does something stupid. Now, another important thing is I'm going to show you the settings. So actually, if you come here, as you can see, I did the damage because I drove through the field. Now, the thing is, you can actually disable this. I like to disable it because just for fun, I like to disable it because it just allows me more freedom. But you can obviously keep this, right? So let me actually show you the settings. If you come to escape and you come to basically the last option and you come to settings, come to game settings. Now here it's very, very important. Here is where you can change your name of your save. So I changed it to tutorial. You can change this, just press enter right after you're finished. Autosave interval, I like to basically keep it at 15 minutes. This is how often your game is basically saved by autosave. Timescale, you can change this by the keys 7 and 8. I've showed you this at the start. Economic difficulty, I recommend changing it or setting it to easy and not changing it for some time until we get experience. I actually play on easy and medium all the time. I don't like hard because it takes too long, and I don't like waiting 2 weeks to get a harvester for 100k. The traffic, I think without the traffic, the game will be too empty and not as fun, so I just like to leave it. Now, seasons are most likely the most annoying feature in this game. And basically what it does, it is like the real life. So you cannot like harvest in winter, right? Because there's snow and nothing's growing, it's cold. And the same thing is you cannot plant, and you cannot harvest and plant in basically winter because it's too cold. So you need to wait for a certain basically month or a certain season in the calendar. So if you actually come to calendar, as you can see, it shows you what you can harvest and what you can plant in certain. So we're in August. So what I can do, for example, is I can plant canola, and then next year I can harvest it in July, August. Right. What I like to do is I like to disable it because it just annoys me, right? So I'm going to disable it. Now, days per month is basically just what sounds like, right? So because I have set it to 1 day per now. So if I skip, it's going to be the next month, right? So for example, if you're in January and you have set it to 1 day, it's going to be February by after 1 day. So if you set it to 3 days, it will be basically after 3 days, it will be next month. Fixed visual month, I'm not exactly sure what this means. Just leave it. Snow, up to you. Snow, up to you if you really want to keep it or not. I would say keep it because it's fun. The game looks nicer, and also you can do some drifts. Now, crops and growth, here is probably the most important one. Crop destruction, off. I like to turn everything off. Now, they have also added, take a look at it if you want to keep it. Basically what this does, it just gives you extra work to do, but it's up to you if you want to keep it. I always like to disable everything. This disaster destruction, this is the new feature in Farming Simulator 2025. This is basically tornadoes. What you can do is you can keep it to visuals only. That means if there's a tornado, it's not going to destroy your crops, because tornadoes will destroy your crops. And vehicle control, I like to turn to very dirty, and I like to turn the automatic engine to off. Keep this on, and fuel usage, I'll also like to turn it to high. And then from here you can just choose your preferences for AI. I just don't change anything unless I have unless I'm well into the game and I have farms and I have animals producing me like the slurry and stuff and manure. I make sure to obviously change it, right? Now, basically, the field has been harvested, and what you need to do now is you need to basically make sure that you get all the seed out. Now, this trailer is very, very small. I don't know if it's going to take all 6,000 liters. Don't think so. Maybe, actually. Right, so this trailer is very, very small, but it will suit us just for the tutorial purposes, right? So actually, it will fit all of that, right? So as you can see, it's basically fitted. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this harvester, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the silo, and I'm going to deposit this into the silo. Now, silos are important because the silos allow you to store stuff till you want to sell it, right? So on Riverbrand Springs, here's the silo in this basically little corner. And if I just come here and you press I, as you can see, it says dump canola. So if I press I, it will dump canola into the silo. And then you can also retrieve it from the silo. So if I just press R, as you can see here, what we can do is we can select other stuff, but there's nothing here. So I can only withdraw canola from the silo. Now the silos have a limit, but you shouldn't worry about the limit because I don't think you're going to fill it that quickly. It should have about 100 to 100,000 liters, so you should not worry about that at all. Right, so I'm just going to leave it. Now additionally, if you actually leave the engine running and you jump out of the tractor, you can still do stuff, but I think that's only available if you actually leave the engine, the setting about the engine I was talking about, the engine running or turn the engine on with a button. Okay. Now, basically, the next step in to get basically the field ready for the next crop is we need to cultivate it and plow it. Now, I have plowing turned off, and I have all like the lime and the weeds and the other stuff turned off. So what I need to do is I just need to cultivate this field, and then I seed it. Now, if at some point you're stuck and you don't know what to do, you can come to the escape basically, and then the last option, and then help. From here, you have basically all information about just about anything. If not, then you can always Google stuff, or you can ask me in the comments and I'll try to help you out, right? So what we need to do is I rented out a cultivator. So if you come to soil cultivation, you actually have something called cultivators. So basically, the bigger the cultivator, the better, right? Additionally, there is seeders, but in about a seeder later on, in about actually a second, I'll explain, because some seeders do two things in one, which means they seed and cultivate at the same time. So basically, if you get into the tractor, you lower the cultivator and you drive through basically harvested field. Right, as you can see, I'm cultivating, and this basically allows me to seed another crop, right? So I'm gonna do a line, and then I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Now, additionally, if at some point, for example, your vehicle is basically upside down, for example, and you can't basically get it to work, for example, like this, oh my god, my vehicle's upside down, I have to reset it. Now, you can actually reset your vehicles. All you have to do is come to the map, select your vehicle, and as you can see, it says reset, right? Do not press return, because that return means returning the leased vehicle, because this is a leased vehicle. So reset your vehicle. If you come back, basically, if I just press tab, as you can see, the vehicle is back into the store and I can drive this. So if your vehicle, it gets stuck, it's underwater, flies out of the map, it's under the map, gets glitched, whatever happens, you can reset your vehicles just like I showed you, and then you're back on track. Now, another thing is what you need to do after you cultivate your field or plow the field. What you need to do is you need to have some kind of seeder. Now, there is seeders and planters. There's two differences, basically. Some of them, for example, the planters are for like soybeans, cotton, and stuff like this. Now, a seeder is for normal crops like wheat, rapeseed, canola, and stuff like that. So as you can see, now there's two differences between them. Obviously, they matter in size, but there's two basically types. This one is a standard seeder. This does not cultivate the field for you, right? This one. However, this one, the Kuchen one, actually cultivates the field for you. Now, how do I know that it cultivates the field? If you look at the bottom, it actually tells you these machines are used to seed crops, and actually additionally, this seeder offers the possibility to seed directly. No previous cultivating or plowing is necessary. So if you actually rent this out, lease, right? And additionally, I need to show you one more thing, is that as you can see, this Kuchen, this one, as you can see, it tells you two different things, right? So it actually tells you the little plant, and it tells you one more thing. What this is basically means that this accepts two things. So accept seeding, like seeds, and fertilizer. Fertilizer is another thing. Fertilizer is very important, and I'm going to explain fertilizer in a second after I show you how to seed fields. Now, if you actually come to yield improvements, and as you can see, this is solid fertilizer, and as you can see, this is the same sign that I was showing 2 seconds ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy 1 bag, and then what we need is we also need the seeds. So we just need to find where seeds are, and seeds are basically an object. So if you come to big bags, as you can see, there's seed, the same sign that you were looking for 2 seconds ago, right? So if I buy this as well, and I jump into my tractor, because we obviously need to refill the harvester for this to work. Sorry, the seeder, not harvester. The seeder, for this to work, we need to refill it. If you press R, it will basically refill everything for you. As you can see, I'm driving next to it. You can also pick this up. You need a mod for this called Strongman. So if you want to basically do it like this, you need to basically have the mod installed. So I'm just going to refill everything, and then we can get to seeding the field. Now, what I want to do is I want to actually show you how to use the seeder. So basically, you need to choose your field, right? As soon as you choose your field, because this is the seeder that has the cultivating feature, what I don't need to do is I don't need to cultivate it. So as you can see, this is uncultivated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop into my harvester. I'm going to seed wheat. So I'm not going to change it, the crop, and I'm just going to drive. Make sure that you also lower it. V is also important that you lower stuff, because sometimes if a machine is required to touch the ground, you need to lower it with V. So as you can see, I'm driving, and when I'm driving, I'm actually seeding. So as you can see, this is seeded. So if I actually come on it, it says wheat, right? So before it was canola, now it's wheat. Additionally, if you want to change the crop, if you jump into the tractor, you can change this with Y, right? So as you can see, if I press Y, I'm actually turned off first. If I press Y, it says barley, oat, canola, long grain rice, oilseed radish, grass, peas, and other stuff like spinach. Now, another thing is I want to show you that obviously this field is fertilized. So as you can see at the bottom, it says yield bonus 75% and it says fertilized 50%. As of farming 2025, there is only 2 stages of basically fertilizing. So if you have this seeder with basically fertilizer, you only need to do it once more, right? So how do you actually fertilize it? You need to buy a fertilizer. or a fertilizer spreader actually. So if you come at the top and you look for something like, if you look basically for yield improvements, and as you can see it says fertilizer spreaders, in the future when you start playing the game you might have something like manure spreader and slurry tankers and stuff, so that also is for free. However, because we don't have anything, we need to use this basically fertilizer spreader. I like to use this one because it's basically the cheapest and also has the highest and basically working width. Now we're basically in the second stage of growing. So as you can see, the color is a bit different. As you can see, it's like lighter green. This will obviously change the more you speed up the time and stuff. And as you can see, the soil composition hasn't changed. So now if I use my basically the fertilizer and I just basically drive over the crops, the color will change, and as you can see, it should be similar. So as you can see, the color of the crop or fertilized area has been basically changed to darker, which means now it's fully fertilized. And obviously if you're not unsure, you can just come here, and as you can see in the bottom it says yield bonus 100%, fertilized 100%. And I think that'll be it for this tutorial. If you guys have any questions, please comment down below. I'll try to answer as soon as possible. And I'll basically, I know I haven't showed you everything. There's so much more I need to show you, for example, like animals. But the thing is, that will take a long time. Animals are a big topic, and you need to understand the game first to actually even use the animals for your benefit and overall to even care for them. So yeah, if you want more content, just comment down below. I'll try to make more content, and peace.